Lad Esmond here for the winners and whiners, folks, and I've got some free USFL picks for you in Week 8 of the USFL. The Generals and the Maulers, the Panthers and the Stars, the Bandits and the Gamblers are the three games that I'm going to have picks for. I'm staying away from the other one because I think it's close and competitive and could go either way. But I have three picks for you anyway out of the four games, starting with that would be the Maulers against the New Jersey Generals. These are two teams heading in opposite directions. The Maulers lost their past two games by double digits. They are fighting amongst themselves. Last week, Coach Kirby Wilson benched the popular starting quarterback Vadley in the fourth quarter after the two of them had an obvious spat on the sidelines. He puts in Roland Rivers, who hadn't played at all. The game was still in doubt. They were only down by 7 points. And then he gave no ringing endorsement at all when asked after the game who would be starting at quarterback next week. He said, right now we'll have that decision internally of this week. Well, it's a short turnaround we mentioned earlier. And after we take the emotions out of this thing and get back together tomorrow morning, we'll make a decision. We'll move forward with whatever that decision is and get ready to play again. Yeah, he didn't say anything. And so who knows who the quarterback is going to be. And even if it is Vadley, how motivated is this team? They're a train wreck. And by the way, the numbers don't lie. The Maulers score league worst 13 points per game, and they face the team in the Generals that allows the least points per game at 16 points a game. The Maulers also allow a high number of points in 21, so I expect the Generals to score pretty easily, the Maulers to really have trouble scoring. And that leads me to the conclusion that this game is not going to be very close. The 9 points going to the Generals, who are one of the better teams in the league, doesn't bother me at all here. So the pick here on the first game of the weekend, Friday night, is the New Jersey Generals, comfortably -9 to win that game and cover. Then we have the Panthers and the Stars. I kind of hate myself for doing this because all year long I have been betting on fading and going against this team, the Panthers, because I can't stand their coach, Jeff Fisher. I think he's a lousy coach. I think he's a lousy evaluator of talent. And he has proven me right almost all year long. And then last week, out of nowhere, they bring in a new quarterback who, for the first part of the week, was playing for the Maulers of Pittsburgh. The guy gets 2 days of practice, has to replace the first pick by the team, Shea Patterson, who was cut earlier in the week after being the starting quarterback all year. And he did the one thing right that Shea Patterson couldn't do. He only threw it to the people on his own team. And when they cut down on the turnovers, they actually came close to winning a game, and they covered the spread. Turnovers have just been a huge problem for the Panthers all season, and otherwise, they're not terrible. The Panthers' defense is pretty good. It only allows 18 points per game, and the offense is only scoring 18 points per game, mostly because they kept turning the ball over. Now, the Stars, they allow a lot of points. They allow 22 points per game. They score 25. So they have a high-scoring team, but the Panthers' defense is pretty good. So I'm going to do it. I'm taking the Jeff Fisher-led Panthers +5.5 against the Philly Stars. And then finally, we have the Bandits versus the Gamblers. The Bandits beat the Gamblers by 1 point earlier this year, and I think this rematch is going to be just as close. The Houston Gamblers had lost 3 games in a row, if you believe it, going into last week on the last play of the game. I thought this was it. This was their breakthrough moment. They actually might come through. And no, they lose by 10 points to the Philadelphia Stars. Actually, I think it was 11. But in any case, they lost and they didn't cover. So now they take on the Bandits, who only score about 17 points a game. Now, the Gamblers' defense is the worst in the league, allowing 24. But, they're not playing a tremendous offense. The Gamblers can score. They rank in the middle of the pack at about 22 points per game. And the Bandits have the second worst defense and allow 22 points per game. Bottom line, this looks like a competitive game between two sort of middling, not good teams. I think the score is going to be very similar, something like a 24-21, 21-20. But in any case, I like the Gamblers +5. I think they're a team that's still fighting and still has some heart. Although the Philly Stars, their offense scares me a little bit. I think it is going to be just as close as the first game, and like the Gamblers +5 here. So here's your picks to round it out. The New Jersey Generals -9, the Michigan Panthers +5.5, and those Houston Gamblers, the hard luck Gamblers, at +5. I'm Loud Esmond. This is your Winners and Whiners USFL Free Picks Week 8